I see our next speaker here, Pablo Diaz. He's the president of Solar Integrated Roofing. I wonder what they do. Pablo, what's up, man? Oh, Pablo, you're on mute. Go ahead and unmute yourself real fast. Within the StreamYard window, you can see you're on. There's a mute button at the bottom there. Should be highlighted in red. Should be on the bottom left-hand side. It says mute. There will be a microphone icon. Let me see if we can do it on our end.
Oh, there we go.
Hey, we got you.
Sorry, sir.
That's all good. All good.
New system. There's about 50 of them popping up every week. So
yeah, no kidding. That's step one. Step two, need you to share your slides, please.
Absolutely.
I understand you want to draw on your slides. Is that going to be happening?
I sure would like to, if that's okay.
Let's see how that goes. That's never happened before on this show. So go ahead and click that share button in the middle of the screen there. You can share the screen your slides are on. We will be able to see them once you do that. While that is happening, and while Pablo gets his slides up, get people in the chat. I haven't brought up the Slido for a while. I'm going to do it right now. Let me bring it up on my screen. Actually, no, I'm not, because Pablo just shared his slides. So I'll do it after Pablo. There's a good question on this Slido I want to ask y'all. But we'll do that after Pablo's presentation. So that being said, I see your slides. Pablo, can you go presentation mode, please? There we go. Can you go full screen? This should work. Just maybe click the hide button on there so we don't see that annoying message the entire time.
There you go. Berg. This thing is sensitive.
Whoa. Yeah, there we go. Perfect. All right. I will give you the floor, sir, and let you tell us all about why we all should have solar panels on our roofs.
Sure. So Solar Integrated Roofing is about a 15-year-old company. Went public 8 years ago. I'm going to share, since we have 20 minutes, a lot of information to move through. I'm going to try to get to the meat and potatoes of this, of what we are. So on our corporate overview, our current market cap is, actually this is a little bit lower, $220 million in valuation. Our revenue guidance for the year is $100 million. This is a little old, so quite frankly, we're going to be doing about $120 million in revenue. We had a good July, have decent cash flow, which is growing, and I'm going to get to it shortly. But I really want to share with the value of what we bring is our brands. If you look in here, what we are is an alternative energy ecosystem that is self-sustaining, in that we can grow organically with each other because of the acquisitions that our CEO and founder, Dave Massey, started putting together several years ago. He's a visionary. He knew he could foresee where the market was going. I'm going to circle back. The purpose of the laser pen is for this purpose right now that I'm going to share. What is Solar Integrated Roofing? We're a nationwide alternative energy development firm. What we're really doing is creating customers via our acquisitions in EV and roofing and solar. And quite frankly, our roofing acquisitions have slowed down, and we're focused more on alternative energy. Roofing is a great partner because they bring solar customers and alternative energy customers. We source the material, we source the capital, and we outsource the installation process to licensed contractors. In the middle, we sit as the development firm that manages the process for integrity of the process. We're creating opportunities. We're really a development firm that's focused on sales and the capital side of the equation. Through our different subsidiaries, we have centralized services that allow our subsidiaries to grow. Technology. We've centralized HR. We've centralized treasury. We've centralized our finance division, which because in our space, everything requires funding for the most part. 95% of alternative energy projects, it's actually 96% of alternative energy projects are financed so that customers spend $0 out of their pocket, 100% financing. And we've centralized our accounting. And again, in the developer seat, we manage the process for integrity of the process. And alternative energy, if it's gotten a bad rap in the past, it's because there was not enough controls mechanisms on the sales side. We've learned from previous competitors' mistakes, and we control the entire closing process, the entire sales sequence. So our financial proposals that are forward-looking documents are controlled. And I want to take a quick moment to take a step back and look at really what that means for, let me see if this is going to get it all funny here. Let's go back to our brands. We are an ecosystem of self-sustaining companies that have their original revenue streams. Plemco, been in business for 17 years. It's a EV charging unit company. For the most part, it's handled federal projects for that entire space. When it connected with USA Solar Networks, which has a huge commercial solar footprint that has $380 million in development stage, they were able to create an opportunity with Plemco and help them create their commercial division. Now Plemco is taking commercial projects, because every parking lot that we have out there with a commercial entity on its balance sheet, it is a liability. That the reality is, with all the subsidies that are in place for EV charging companies, it should be an asset. That parking lot should be creating revenue. Just one example where we created a new revenue stream. Another example, Future Home Power. They do about $1 million a month in sales. Pardon me, $1 million a week in sales. They're a very dynamic sales company we brought from Vivint. They partnered up with one of our subsidiaries, Cornerstone. They do about 50 roofs a month, but they wanted to get into solar, so they created a division within their infrastructure to sell solar without having to go through the trial and error of learning a new business model. Future Home Power brought their infrastructure. Now Cornerstone is selling solar in locations in which it isn't even licensed. Revenue centers are never expected. They're out of South Carolina and North Carolina, but now they're selling solar in Arkansas. Why is that? They're not installing it because US Solar Networks outsources all of its installation so they can bring installation wherewithal. Again, new revenue centers, dynamic new revenue centers, where this ecosystem doesn't have to go outside of its umbrella to grow organically. Not that it shouldn't, but it doesn't have to, which is lowers our risk assessment. So as SIRC is traversing the landscape, centralizing different functionalities that allow our alternative energy companies, our subsidiaries, to focus on origination, right? They're focusing on sales. They're the experts in their industry. They're focusing on sales and installation. These centralized services, though they're fundamental infrastructure nodes, they don't make companies more money. So that's why we've brought that in-house to manage that process, bring sophistication to it. And with our different subsidiaries, we're helping them expand their growth pattern. Our differentiators in our industry, we have been in this industry for 2 decades. We're a national firm. It's focused on origination on the capital side. As I've said, we've outsourced our construction to licensed contractors. That's licensed construction is the highest risk assessment in the business model. That's why we outsource that. We can focus on residential and commercial. We currently do. Tons of experience in the construction component of our space. And this ecosystem allows for these new revenue centers that we were discussing in solar, roofing, HVAC, electrical, battery storage. As we all know, everybody, the administration is driving huge amounts of subsidiaries into the space. The Paris Climate Accord Agreement, quite frankly, is about lowering the carbon footprint worldwide. The only way to do that is with all of the industries that we work within. And our ability to scale is not an issue, because what has happened in our industry is a lot of companies focus too much on sales and they don't have the wherewithal to install their projects. Thus why we chose our strategy of outsourcing our construction capabilities. Now we do own some licensed contractors in about 9 markets, and there we do the installations. But for the other 90% of our work, which is in 40 states, we outsource that a construction component. I'm going to go through this a little quickly since everybody can read this individually. We do focus on solar installation services. Clearly, that's a component of our business model. Battery storage solutions. We have some of the best relationships in the industry. If we're going to do 125 million in revenue this year, our buying power is at that level. So the deepest procurement relationships that you can have, we have. Spas is a discounted volume purchasing agreement that you have with the distributor. We have the best ones in the industry, and quite frankly, at our C-level executive team, we've been boots on the ground, so we know how to create projects, and finance is a core component of what we also do. Electric EV charging solutions. We have a 17-year-old company with tons of infrastructure, and and you're going to keep hearing me say this, organic cross-pollination of our ecosystem, we're creating new revenue opportunities. It's really dynamic and exciting. We've been on NASDAQ TV twice, and every time we're there, we have the capacity to share new projects and new opportunities that are creating just within our own sustainable platform. Our roofing services, 40 years in the business. Roofing and solar, by the way, or alternative energy. When you attach a roofing membrane to an alternative energy project, it becomes one unit, and roofs get all of the subsidies that are in place for alternative energy. So you have roofing companies that have been in the business for many, many years. To bring them into the space is a natural dynamic solution where they could create immediate new revenue streams. They have great sales companies. That's why we partner with roofing companies all the time. Let's talk about our growth trajectory, please. Last year, we went from 17.1 million in audited revenue. This year, we're on the course to do over 100 million. How did we hit such phenomenal growth? It's because we were able to encapsulate all the capabilities of our subsidiaries, and when you combine them with our centralized business nodes, it allowed them to scale. And again, back to this ecosystem where new opportunity zones were created, new revenue streams were created. The few examples that I shared earlier. Let's talk about some meat and potatoes. How does this translate into real world projects? Plemco, our 17-year-old EV unit company, when they cross-pollinized with USA Solar Networks, we had installed on a large developer several solar projects on apartment complexes. That customer was super interested in the program we put together with Plemco. So they've already landed on top of their federal jobs, first apartment complex in Portland, Oregon. Once they perform, they get the other 200 projects. It's this cross-pollination, these opportunity zones that are created with our subsidiaries that are experts in their space. It allows for scale, it allows for growth, and hence why you see our growth trajectory at the hockey stick level that it is. Ehan Media, very, very sophisticated BPO centers, call centers, operations. They really have the capacity to have 500 phone reps on the phones. We first started through a program where we're focusing on hitting our KPIs because wanted to make sure we're investing our capital correctly. We had a 40% sit ratio on appointments and 25% on our close ratio. As a minimum, we plan to put 100 reps on the phone, distributing leads to our different subsidiaries, and obviously leads generate sales. Another opportunity created through our ecosystem that's managed at our national alternative energy development firm. SVG, one of the leading educational virtual platforms in the nation for contractors. They have relationships with thousands of roofing contractors. They have created within their own organization a sales team of 200 plus roofing contractors that are now moving into the solar space to sell solar. They need a construction, capital, and material solution, so they've joined forces with the USA Solar Networks, and actually we're in acquisition and a binding LOI to acquire them. We should be closing next month. We automatically bring on 200 additional sales teams onto our organization. Right now, in our umbrella at Solar Integrated Roofing, we have 146 independent sales companies, 186 independent sales companies that bring their business to our platform. Coupled with SVG, will be close to 400 sales companies. Loganov Islands. This is a microgrid solution that we have brought to the island. It's a European travel hotspot, but they've never had a grid and have always needed to rely on diesel fuel for their electricity. We have an exclusive relationship with the president and the government of Loganov. We will have the capacity to bring microgrid solutions that we're working on a national basis per our subsidiary acquisitions. And on this particular project, we've structured the capital. So we're going to write a 30-year lease. Pardon me, it says 25-year, 30-year lease with the Loganov Islands. And they're going to subsidize our lease and through collateralize it through oceanfront property. And quite frankly, the citizenry there is beyond ecstatic to finally have a microgrid solution that can work. Callaway Farms, another microgrid project that we're actively involved in. It's a 100-year-old institution, a generational farm, 20,000 acres. Pre-construction is in actual phase 2 of this project, and these $50 estimates of this is a little older presentation. This has grown to a $65 million project. We're bringing 87 million kilowatt hours to the Callaway Farms, and they couldn't be happier. They're so far off the grid that the utility was going to charge them $20 million to bring electricity to their farm. These huge projects, with the buying power that we have, the infrastructure that we have, are literally landing on our footsteps daily. We have $380 million in commercial projects where we structure the capital with our different institutional partners to drive solutions for these customers where they cut $0 out of their check or out of their bank account to go into the green alternative energy space. And I'm going to hurry along here. Arbiter Bank, we just finished our finance and capital equity raise. They're pushing $42 million into solar integrated roofing for growth purposes. Helixia, who has Department of Energy and Department of Defense contracts. Because of our sourcing capabilities and our procurement capabilities, we've signed agreements with them and we have several press releases on that. They're going to be sourcing $90 million in material from us on the alternative energy space. And finally, I'm going to wrap up with new opportunities. As an origination company and a national developer, it is logical for us to move into bringing in our own structured capital. We are in the process of creating a PPA fund for commercial solar alternative energy projects ranging from 100K to 5 million. The capital partners are in place. The PPA is being structured as we speak, and we're going to continue to work on accretive acquisitions that add shareholder valuation. SVG, they have 200 sales companies. Of course, we want to acquire them. Standard Eco, installation company, phenomenal installation company in 5 states. And we've just signed agreements with the 10th largest alarm company in the U.S. to convert 112 sales teams to sell solar SIRC services. So I'm going to, since I have just a few more minutes, wrap it up. And I just want to say as key takeaways, these $100 million revenue growth guidance, we're going to blow it out the water. The administrative and laws that are being put in place all allow us to grow and scale. And it's a great place, great time to be in the industry. So I'm going to turn it over to any questions for some Q&A.
Yeah, Pablo, unfortunately, we are at time, but Pablo Diaz is the president of, it says it right there on the screen, guys, Solar Integrated Roofing Corporation. Pablo, thank you so much for coming on the Benzinga Small Cap Conference today.
Okay, thank you.